With free agency right around the corner, we're going to react to an article that came out this morning from ESPN where they went over their top 100 NFL free agents and they found a best fit destination for all of these players. They have 3 players inside the top 45 free agents that they think the best fit would be the New York Giants. They talked about Darius Slayton and the entire offseason plan for Big Blue. So we're going to break that down. But first, if you're just ready for free agency to be here, if you're ready for players to put pen to paper to join this organization, go down right now and hit that thumbs up icon. You're not going to have to wait much longer, though, because free agency opens up on March 10th, and we're going to be live on the channel, Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. So subscribe, turn notifications on, and join us for free agency. We'll be live the entire way. Teams will start to sign free agents on March 10th. And we're going to start to figure out what this football team looks like for 2025. ESPN said this about their article and kind of their thought process of how they got to each of these players and their best fit destination, saying, our best fits are mainly focused on team needs, scheme, and potential future production, though we also factored each franchise's salary cap situation. But remember that every team's cap room will shift up and down before free agency as front offices start to restructure contracts, cuts, and re-sign players. And yes, for some of these fits to work, teams might have to get creative. The Giants have plenty of cap space, though, at the moment, and there are multiple ways they could add more. They sit at the number 13 spot right now with about $47.1 million. You could add $10 more million by making some easy cap cuts. You could also add another $40 million by restructuring contracts of Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Andrew Thomas. So if you want to spend big, you have the ability to do so. Let's start with the defensive back that ESPN named as a best fit for Big Blue, and that's their number 12 overall player, the safety from the Miami Dolphins, Jevon Holland. I like Jevon Holland's game a lot. He's got prototypical size as a safety at 6'1", 210 pounds, still just scratching the surface of who he could be in this league, has not yet entered his prime at 24 years old. But to be honest with you, when I first saw this, I was a little bit puzzled and I was a little bit confused. Why would the New York Giants go out and give big money to a safety when they could have just done that last year? Did they not think McKinney was a good locker room guy? Did they not think McKinney was a leader? Maybe. ESPN wrote this. A year after allowing Xavier McKinney to sign with the Packers in free agency, the Giants could try to grab the best safety on the market in Holland. He has the multi-dimensional traits to impact all 3 levels of the field for a Giants defense that needs a difference maker at safety. New York had 5 interceptions last year, fewer than all but one other team, which was the Browns. In 4 pro seasons with the Dolphins, Holland has 5 interceptions, 16 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, and 5 sacks. Are we serious? Are we really going to do this? The Giants just passed up on the opportunity to pay one of their own, a second-round pick, Xavier McKinney. If you go out and pay Jevon Holland the money he's projected to get, which Pro Football Focus thinks could be close to $100 million, no, you cannot do this. No way, no how. You let Xavier McKinney walk out of the building. You talked about spending money at premium positions. You sold all of us on that last year when you let McKinney go for nothing and you let Barkley go for nothing. You can't just circle back now and say, poo-poo, whatever we talked about. Here is $100 million for him. It makes no sense. You're going to owe him a bag, and he's going to want a bag. When you talk about the highest paid safeties in the National Football League, Holland is going to want to be a part of this graphic. I don't think any safety should be paid $21 million. I really don't think any safety should be paid more than $15 million. Xavier McKinney's a damn good player, but I think safety is one of the least impactful positions on the defensive side of the ball, especially because everyone just sits in too high now. You're going to ask anybody to play halves. I will crash out if the Giants sign Jevon Holland. I will. Because 1, Xavier McKinney's a better player. And 2, he was a part of this organization already. You could have kept one of your own that you saw get better and better and better as they progressed as a New York Giant. And this is not to say that Holland is a bad player or a bad guy or somebody I don't want on my team. He is a good player. And he's shown that throughout his career. He's had great stats. He's had great production. But man, what are we doing? We're not going to pay Xavier McKinney to just circle around 12 months later to pay Jevon Holland a bigger contract? Make it make sense, ESPN. And on top of that, Jevon Holland just had his worst season in the NFL. Like, I don't want to always rely on PFF grades, but it's a neutral party that has no bias. And you look at the PFF grades, he was awesome in 2023, right? 90.4 on defense, 82.5 in run defense, 84 in tackling, and 89.9 in coverage. He looked like an all-pro in 2023. In 2024, he didn't even look like a Pro Bowler. You see the decline in all the stats. You saw that all those grades fell off a cliff. Holland is a really solid player. I don't want people to think I hate Jevon Holland, but I hate the idea of passing on Xavier McKinney, who I think is better, to sign a safety who is worse to more money, because that's the way the market works. The market goes up every year. You could have had Xavier McKinney for less money and arguably a better player. I really want to come back to this. I've gotten passionate about this recently, and I truly do believe this is the road the Giants should travel down. Make the offense the priority this offseason. Schoen and Brian Daboll, you are going to be fired if the offense stinks. If the defense is good and the offense stinks, nobody cares. You only own this job because there is belief from John Mara that you can identify the franchise quarterback and build around the franchise quarterback. If you pick a QB and your offense stinks, and the feeling in the building going into 2026 is there's progression here, there's hope here, and there's juice here, you will be fired. I don't care how good your defense is. Build up the offensive line. Build up the ecosystem and the support system around the rookie quarterback. Don't pay an effing safety $20 million per year. It makes no sense. What about this one, which I kind of do like? The interior offensive lineman, Tevin Jenkins of the Chicago Bears, was named a player that the Giants would be the best fit for him in free agency. One thing I like about him off the bat is he is a versatile player. Came into the NFL out of Oklahoma State playing tackle. They moved him to right tackle. Then they moved him to left tackle. Then he had some injuries pop up. Then they moved him to guard. Then they moved him to right guard. He has played every position on the offensive line except for center. And I love the versatility of that. And at 26 years old, I like the idea of paying a player that is not yet in his prime. I don't love paying a player, though, that has not been able to stay healthy. And that's a major worry for me in Tevin Jenkins. ESPN says this. However, Jenkins has the tools to drive defenders off the ball in the run game. And he had a pass block win rate of 92% last season. He'd be a boost for a poor O-line in New York. They also said the New York Giants could fill the right guard vacancy with Jenkins, a 2021 second-round pick for Chicago. He was drafted as a tackle. Jenkins has had multiple injuries in his career. And that's what gets me to this point. Jenkins is a really good player when healthy. And it's never good when you have to follow up saying someone is a good player when healthy. Like, you don't want that. And I go back to last offseason. What was the theme for the Giants? Smart, tough, dependable. John Runyon, he never really missed a lot of time for the New York Giants. All the players that they brought in, Devin Singletary, Brian Burns, all the guys they spent legit dollars on, they didn't miss time. Jermaine Illuminor. They want players that can play. And Tevin Jenkins, he missed a lot of time. But when he does play, he is good. And that's reflected in the tape and the Pro Football Focus numbers. In 2024, he was a really solid player. He graded out as the 18th best guard in PFF grade, 15th best in pass block grade, and 20th best in run blocking grade. The year prior, in 2023, he was 13th in overall grade, 26th in pass blocking, and then 13th in run blocking. But you look at in 2022, he was great as an overall player, third best there, and he was really good as a run blocker. He is a mover. He is a road paver. He's someone that would benefit the Giants if healthy. But I can't do another season with injury after injury after injury on the offensive line. And Jenkins has already stacked up his fair share of injuries. He came into the NFL with a back injury. That's why he slid a little bit in the first round. Or slid out of the first round in the second round. Then he had another back injury pop up. Then he had a hip strain in week 9 in 2022. He had a neck strain in week 15 in that same year. Then another neck strain in that same year. Then he had a leg injury in the preseason in 2023, a concussion in week 15 in 2023. He sprained his ankle 2 times in 2024, and he had a calf injury in week 16. When you look at the games played, it doesn't really tell the entire story as well. Played in 6 games in 2021, played in 13 games in 2022, played in 12 games in 2023, and he played in 14 games in 2024. If you give me 14 games, I can work with that. If you give me 13 games, I don't love it, but if you're only going to miss 4 games, not the end of the world. 12 games, not the end of the world. But these numbers, they don't paint the picture for Tevin Jenkins and his lack of ability. Look at it like this. In 2021, he played in 6 games, but he only played in 14% of the snaps. In 2022, he played in just 55% of the snaps. 13 games played, but he played in just 55% of the offensive snaps. In 2023, yes, he played in 12 games, but he only played in 64.7% of the snaps. And this year, 14 games played, only played in 65% of the snaps. He's played in 45, 68 games, but he's only played in 50% of the snaps the Chicago Bears have had on offense since he got here, which really makes me wonder what his contract would look like. In PFF, they think he can sign a 3-year, $40 million deal, which is $13.3 million per year and $24 million guaranteed. To be honest with you, someone that has played less than 50% of the snaps in their NFL career being gifted $24 million in guaranteed money is a major risk for me. He's a good player when healthy. He would help this team if healthy. But there's other guards out there that I have more faith in to be healthy and have showed that their track record has more games played and more percentage of snaps played. We got another free agent to talk about. Then we got to talk about Darius Slayton. First, though, show some love to the league. Get your jersey today. Chatsports.com/neighbors. That's chatsports.com/neighbors. Get your Malik Neighbors jersey today. Be ready to rock and roll for week 1 of the 2025 season. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. I really hope the New York Giants leave free agency with a quarterback. They absolutely have to. I've got more thoughts on that. And ESPN, they agree. They have Russell Wilson going to the New York Giants in their best fit article. And they have Wilson ranked as the 42nd best free agent heading into 2 weeks. Look, if Russell Wilson does end up leaving the Steelers, if Wilson has to find a new home, yeah, Russ is someone that I am absolutely interested in. I actually think he might be a perfect bridge quarterback for this team. He's past his prime, there's no doubt about it, but he's a Super Bowl champion. He's a leader. He could be a captain and really the driving force of a new culture for the New York Giants. And he's someone that I think still has gas left in the tank. And we saw last year for Pittsburgh, he was able to put up a nice stretch of games. Towards the end of the season, some injuries popped up. The receivers started to not play as well, and they didn't get open, and things fell off the rails in Pittsburgh. But I do think he'd be a great person for the Giants to pursue. ESPN says this. With the Giants sitting at number 3 in the draft, the Giants are in the mix to land a QB with their first-round pick. But adding Wilson would give them some security heading into the draft. In 11 starts for the Steelers, Wilson completed almost 64% of his throws, nearly 2,500 yards, and 16 tutties. Because of his diminished mobility, Wilson isn't a natural creator at this stage. But Giants coach Brian Daboll can scheme for Wilson, using a play-action-heavy approach and setting him up on vertical throws. And that's the type of offense that Wilson needs to be in. Play-action, deep shots. Did a lot of that with Arthur Smith this last year in Pittsburgh. He doesn't target the middle of the field all that well anymore because he is 5'11". He can't create to find those throwing lanes in between the linemen. I want the Giants to do this, though. Approach free agency, not trades, free agency, like Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are going to be off the board when you're on the clock. Because the last thing you can do is punt on signing a talented QB in free agency to hope and pray, fingers crossed, that Shedeur or Cam is there at 3. Because it might not just work out that way. Russ is a top free agent quarterback for me. He is. I think he could still play. I think he'd be a mentor and a leader, and he could bring some winning habits to this organization. He is a Super Bowl champion, been there 2 times. And when you compare him to the other top free agent quarterbacks, Wilson kind of stands out to me as the leader in the clubhouse. I don't think the Giants are going to pay Sam Darnold $35 million, and I don't think that they should at this point. Justin Fields makes my list, no doubt about it. He's above a guy like Jameis Winston, above Zach Wilson. I like Mac Jones, but I only really like Mac Jones if I know I'm getting Shador or Cam. Same with Marcus Mariota. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know why I continue to put him on this graphic. Aaron Rodgers, the Giants are going to have no interest in that. We've already heard that. And I don't think Drew Lock did enough in his time as a member of Big Blue to return. And the New York Giants had interest in Russell Wilson last offseason. And then John Mara told him and Joe Schoen told him that you're not going to start over Daniel Jones. So he went and he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russ did some really nice things for Pittsburgh last year. He can still throw it deep. He could still create chunk plays. In a limited sample size, he had 24 big-time throws, 12th best in the NFL. He had the third best big-time throw percentage. He had a great average depth of target, pushing the ball downfield. He also has adjusted completion percentage, 7th best in the NFL. He does struggle under pressure, though. His pressured completion percentage was 44.2, one of the worst in the National Football League. Amongst all starters, it was 21st. But the deep completion percentage, best in the NFL, and his deep PFF grade, best in the NFL. And if you're going to have an offense with Malik Neighbors and a new receiver that I hope the Giants add, you want to bring back Darius Slayton. Russell Wilson could fit. I want to see Jalen Hyatt at least be a part of this team going forward. He can really blossom under Wilson. And the Giants got to create explosive plays. You want to win this league? Create explosives. If you want to lose, don't. And that's really the tale of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. From week 7 to 13 in the first 6 starts for the Steelers, they were able to create explosive plays. And they won ball games. They were averaging 29 points per game, went 5-1. Russ was throwing for 270 a night, and his EPA was off the charts. Then the explosive plays stopped, and the production stopped, and the winning stopped. 1-5, 16 points per game, 100 less yards per game, and the EPA fell off a cliff. Russ is not perfect. He might have baggage. He might have an entourage. He may have whatever it is, but he definitely doesn't have the athleticism he once had. He can't scramble and create like he used to. And he's not tall enough to target the middle of the field, get past his first read. He's not perfect, but he's someone that I think makes a lot of sense. And he's one of the more interesting players heading into free agency because I have no idea what his market will be. Is the team going to pay Russ $30 million? I don't know if I want to do that. Is the team going to pay him $25 million? Maybe. $20 million? Does he sign a 1-year deal? Does he sign a 2-year deal? Very interested to see what Russell Wilson does. Should he sign with the Giants? Should the Giants sign Russ? I bet is the better question. Type S for sign, type P for pass. If you were Joe Schoen, would you add Russell Wilson to this football team? I want to close out today's show talking about Darius Slayton because he was mentioned by ESPN. They actually have Slayton as the 36th best free agent. What do you do with him? They actually had him going to the Carolina Panthers as a best fit, writing this. Slayton caught 39 passes and averaged 14.2 yards per catch in 2024, despite subpar QB play in New York. So Carolina could use Slayton to boost the pass game around QB Bryce Young. Slayton is a veteran who can stretch the field from perimeter alignments and make contested catches. I'm not going to lie, I chuckled a little bit at that last one. Make contested catches. How about just catch the football? I don't want to shit on Darius Slayton. Resigning him is not a high priority for me. He's not. I don't really believe in the talent, and I kind of believe the Giants need to rehaul their culture, rehaul who's in the building, retool this team. And to say it nicely, get everyone who was associated with Daniel Jones out of the building. Get the losing stench at a 1925 Giants drive. And I'll tell you this much. If Darius Slayton's going to sign a 3-year, $37.5 million deal, which Pro Football Focus projects, we'll see you, Darius. Have fun in Carolina. Have fun playing for the Titans. Have fun going to Houston. Not saying he won't be successful, but if I'm going to pay a receiver $12.5 million per year and $25 million guaranteed, why not just use that money to go out and swing big for T. Higgins? Go out and swing big for Chris Godwin. Because I think the most important thing as a receiver is catching the football. And Darius Slayton just does not catch the football well enough. Think about it like this. He had 39 catches this past year with 4 registered drops. That means for every 10 catches, he had a drop. That is awful. That was one of the worst marks in the National Football League. What's crazy is it wasn't even one of the worst marks of his career. He had 7 drops on 46 catches in 2022, a drop rate of almost 19%. And then in 2021, 6 drops on 26 catches. That means 1 out of every 7 6 catches is a drop. 1 out of every 5 catches is a drop. Yeah, I'm good. I want a receiver that can catch the football. He has talent. He has the ability to stretch the field. I'll never forget the 2 deep touchdown catches he had from Tyrod Taylor at the end of 2023. But if you're going to bring in a rookie quarterback, you need someone that can get open outside of a post, a go ball, and a deep over route. I need more versatility when it comes to the route tree. I need better hands, and I need someone that is not a part of the losing state the New York Giants were. What would you do with Darius Slayton? Would you re-sign him 3 years, $38 million? Or would you let him walk in free agency and allocate those sources to another player or another position? Sound off for me, and make sure you are following me on social media. We're going to keep the content going, but the first place you're going to hear about it is on social media, Instagram, Twitter, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Big Blue.